Thank you for joining me here. I'm pretty excited about this conversation. We're going to talk today about like confidence, which I think is an issue that everyone deals with in their life and in every field whatsoever, in whatever that is. And what better to have a bunch of you know, professional athletes and just all around amazing guys in this discussion to kind of get honest about this topic. So I'll start with Brendan Lee. Brendan Lee works down at Consciousness and Skill Worldwide near San Antonio, Texas, I believe.
Correct.
Um, Brendan is also a martial artist. He works with Peter Ralston, actually, who's his business partner, and Peter actually is I think, the only American, right, to win the
He's the
fighting.
first,
Like,
yeah,
go
the
ahead.
first non-Asian to win a full contact martial arts tournament back in 1978.
There you go. There you go. Um, so Brendan, thank you for joining us here. I really
Thanks for the
appreciate it.
opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, and we got Stephen Ghutzman. Stephen actually was a teammate of mine with the Colorado Rockies. Also played with the Tampa Bay Rays and played his college ball at UNLV and Wake Forest, and now owns his own real estate firm in Houston, Texas. And we've got Ray Negron, who, I can't even get started with this story, but was the bat boy for the Yankees in the 70s with Reggie Jackson, Billy Martin. I mean, you name the legends of Yankee lore. Was very, very close with George Steinbrenner, the owner of the Yankees. And Ray has been working for what, like 50 years in professional baseball, was a second round draft pick by the Pittsburgh Pirates himself. So also played professionally. And he's also a New York Times best-selling children's book author. He's been an actor in multiple movies, and he's also written his own movie, which was actually starred in by Richard Gere, among other famous people. So Ray's just uh, Ray's just one of these guys with these amazing life experience. So I'm really privileged, everybody, to have everybody here with me today. And I just say let's have some fun. Stephen, I want to kind of bring you into this because when I played with you, you were, I mean, like a confident guy, to the point where I think I even told Brendan about this. Like, people hated on you because, like, you were confident. You had this bravado about you, and you played your ass off. You played well. Steven actually hit like 500 in extended spring training for a while. Definitely finished ridiculously high batting average, and it went through a lot of adversity. So Stephen, I want you to touch on for yourself, like when you played, what was your self-talk and how you kind of kept your mind, confident? Like how did, if you have to look at your own mind, like what were you thinking when you played?
I think that was a maturity over time of going through and being humbled, but then putting the work in, like Ray said, never giving up, never doubting yourself. Um, and by the time I got to that level, and I achieved that great goal of just being drafted or signing, with a professional organization, you get
Yeah,
up there and you want to show everybody, both in your play and how you carry yourself, that you want to move up the ladder, like that
yeah,
you're gonna bring it every day, and sometimes it is a mental, because it's a grind. The baseball season is more of a grind than any other sport, and you have to take care of yourself, but mentally you've got to show up every day and almost fool yourself that, hey, this is the playoffs, or because in the middle of especially extended spring training, you
yeah,
know it's very easy to show up and think that, like, this is just another inner squad, or this is
yeah,
another practice, but it's, you're fighting for your life every day. And you can start off hot and be like, oh, I can coast through and I can still hit 300, or in my case, because I was a nobody, uh, I needed to outperform the guys that were given larger checks. I felt like, hitting 496 in extended spring training was what I should have done, because I'd played 3 years in the Cape Cod League where I did not hit like that, where I had kind
right.
of learned and to become a better player and work on the holes or whatever in my game. So by the time I got to that level, it was a little bit easier, but at the same time, it's very easy to get down on yourself when you don't get put on a team for a full season roster and you got to stay back and extended. I didn't like to be there. Thank God I have guys like you that were working just as hard, because a lot of those guys, they knew, right? They knew, like, they're just showing up. They're going to go to whatever rookie ball, and but they're 16, 17 years old, and or they're not planning to be there very long. They're sending their resume off looking for jobs back home. Where we wanted to play in the big leagues, and so I think that was something my older brother helped me out with, because he played minor league ball before I did, and he had an arm injury, so he wasn't going to last very long. He left early. He actually left the Reds organization early to take a head assistant job at Division I baseball program in Texas. But he told me that. He goes, look, he goes, every day. He goes, he played with Pete Rose Jr. And he said the one thing, that guy did not have a lot of talent, but every day he showed up, he had his dad's same, confidence.
I think the biggest thing, and maybe we can bring this, what you said about, like, bringing that confidence every day. It's very easy, or it's not even easy. It's hard to do it once, to bring it one time. But then it's like, no matter how good you did that day, it's over. And it's like, you got to bring it again. And then 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 you got to bring it again. And you got to have that perseverance factor. It's exhausting. It's difficult. It's hard to do that. It really is very, very hard. And the people that do are incredible. I mean, Ray, what do you think? I mean, anybody got anything to say on that, to jump in there? I don't care who jumps in, but
Brandon, go ahead, Brandon.
Okay. Oh, yeah, cool. What was coming up for me as I was listening to you guys, I was wondering when you talk about confidence, I'm sure there's like what you do externally when you step up to the plate. I mean, I'm not a professional baseball player, so I don't know the world like you gentlemen do for sure. But like Adam, when you're talking about seeing somebody else be confident, you're seeing something external, like their body may have a certain stance or their face, registers a certain way. Yeah. But I wonder, for all of you guys, you might step up to the plate and show confidence with your body, but what is going on in your mind too? Like, what is it like for you internally when you step up to the plate? As opposed to, if that makes sense.
There's definitely things that you can do to, like, we used to call it, get locked in, right? I mean, you see, I mean, it's amazing how much of, and I never went to a sports psychologist, but there it's you hear stories, or you talk to guys that do, or you talk to coaches that have kind of bought into some of these things. And, you see a lot of guys these days, they'll hold the bat in front of their eyes right before they step into the box, and they'll find a small, either a letter or something on the barrel of the bat, right before they step in. And that's supposed to do something with your mind, your eyes, before you kind of look at the pitcher and get locked in.
Would you do stuff like what you would call getting locked in, or something like that?
I feel like there was a way of whether it's how you take your practice swing, or how you step into the box, or little things like that. And people, I think in the past, and some still do, they would call them like little quirks, or like Nomar with the batting gloves, or Jeter had little things and all that kind of stuff. But that was a way to get yourself locked in and focused. And I think every hitter, if you watch them close enough, and I'm just talking about hitting here, there's in pitching and even in getting ready to field a ground ball, I think there's little things that you'll notice these great guys do over and over and over again. And it's just to put themselves in that kind of clear their mind, set mindset, so that they can execute on their job. You know, as a coach, if some guy did something different every week, it would kind of bother me. But over time, I mean, these are things that, you know, it takes time to kind of build these. Nobody just wakes up out of bed and is able to execute on that high level. Baseball's
Yeah.
What do they have? Because you can sense it off their body. They're like they walk up to the plate with 50,000 people watching them, and they're like, "Give it to me. Let's go." What is it? What do you see?
No,
And did they ever talk about what they experienced stepping up to the plate to you also?
they just knew that Reggie knew he was the man. Period. He knew he was a superstar. He was not ashamed to say, I'm a superstar. Yeah, I need to get paid. I need to go and do this. I need to get the big spot. I need to hit in the bottom of the ninth, the bases loaded. I need to win this game for us today. You know, that was his attitude. That was his persona. And
Yeah.
honestly speaking, being around him like that made me more confident in everything
Oh
else
yeah.
that I needed to do in my life. You know, could I have been more confident? Yeah, because I was always a very humble guy, but his confidence helped me be confident within myself in anything that I did.
I wonder
Yeah.
if there's an aspect of that, like because you saw that in somebody else, did you feel like you then had permission to do so or some such?
Well, because I had been the bad boy for the New York Yankees, if it without that, there's no way I would have been drafted. Because that confidence that I got there helped me on the field. Okay, helped me in high school baseball. It helped me think to myself, uh, like I used to put these initials on my bat, which is in essence that's something that I picked up in the Yankee clubhouse. I, the letter A, the letter B, T, and the letter B. I am the best. Okay, and every time I went to bat, I would look at those initials. I am the best. You know what I'm saying? And I would take a deep breath and say, "Okay, motherfucker, let's go." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was it. And because of that, I was the best hitter in New York. I was by far the best. I was the best in 1974. I was the best high school player in the city by far. No one hit with me. No one. And I
Yeah.
knew that. I knew that. And I wanted the spot. You
Yeah.
understand?
You
I
know what
think
I hear, Brendan? I hear a lot of one taking ownership, like it's on me. I can
Yeah.
do it. Like
High
really
level
take,
of personal
yes,
responsibility.
high level, like it's on me.
Like
I can do it. Like that
like
sort of
I
a,
am the one who will do it.
yes, yes.
Like
And it's
I
like and it's like the thing about it is like it's and it's wanting it too. Like I want that pressure. I want to be in that position. And the thing is that you can't fake that. You know, you can't if your feeling sense, you know, like how you feel inside is one of not wanting that position. It doesn't matter how much you talk to yourself about, oh yeah, I'm okay. It's like your whole being feels it, you know, your whole being. There's a feeling of power, of free, a genuine feeling of power, of
not like a
freedom, of
pretense.
capability. You know, it's more confidence to me is more than just thinking. It's a it's a physical emotional state, and there's a lot that's happening below the level of my personal dialogue.
Well, what are you trying to drive at? Because
I'm trying to drive it
what are you
like
trying to get to?
when you're talking about confidence, people think that it's a something you can talk yourself into, but my experience says on the field of play, when shit's going down, it's a lot faster than that. And
Yeah.
whether you react confidently or not, there's some stuff that's below the level of your sort of conscious thinking mind that determines that stuff.
Steven, did you want to?
Yeah,
like,
Steven, you got something to say?
You want to say something? Your hands up. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm getting. By the way, I'm getting heated now because I'm passionate about this because it deeply affected me, as you can see.
Yeah.
I guess can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Yes.
I guess my question is because I agree with a lot of what Ray said. Is it more simple? Does it really boil down to preparation? And so with what you were just saying, Adam, it made me think of the movie Tom Cruise and Top Gun. You know, if when you're up there, if you think you're dead, right?
Yeah.
And so if you have preparation, and you can say everybody puts the work in, they don't, right?
Yeah.
But if you have preparation, then when you're out there, you don't need to think. You don't need to talk yourself into anything because you walk out there when you take the field or when you step into the batter's box, and you're already confident because you know you're prepared. Now, before the game starts, do you have to get your mind right? Do you have to talk to yourself? I mean, do you have to have maybe some routine? Some guys have routines. I think there's a lot of things that you can do that are quote unquote talking to yourself or getting your mind right or getting locked in that build your confidence before the game even starts.
Yeah.
But but in the middle of the game, I mean, you could have a bad at bat, right? You can strike out, you can make an error. There are, the great guys can wipe that and play down or hit a double the next at bat or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so that's something to be able to do that comes with preparation as well.
I agree. I think preparation, and I think something I didn't realize when I was younger is like take control of your mind and like get it right for what you need to do to perform. Like it doesn't, the whole social dynamic of like what people might think of you, whether someone will think you're an asshole because you got to get your mind in this, hey, I'm the baddest motherfucker here, and you got to get your experience to be that. It's like you got to take control of your mind and you got to prepare. But the other thing I would say too is that even with preparation, I think about a guy like Chuck Knobloch and Brendan. Chuck Knobloch, he was the second baseman for the Yankees. Unbelievable baseball player, okay? And then all of a sudden, something went wrong with his mind, and he wasn't able to throw the ball accurately to first base. He started throwing the thing in the stands, all over the place. And you see that despite working hard, despite preparing, and doing all the practice, you can get you can be meant, something can go wrong in the mind and you're done. On the other side of things, like I was actually listening to a podcast that a former big league player Matt Joyce just did, and they were talking about this teammate of theirs who like they were up there like getting prepared before the game, stretching, getting in a good state, and this guy was playing video games, sitting in his underwear playing video games before the game, didn't give a fuck, and then would just like walk out there and be great, and I would think of guys like, and this is true for a lot of guys who came from the Dominican Republic. Like I think about a guy like Manny Ramirez, who I was around, and different guys that I played with. And they just had this like, they were free. They had this like carefree freedom about them as well.
Hey, what about Robbie Alomar?
Yeah, Robbie Alomar. These guys have this freedom about. I always tell this story, but I had a teammate for the Yankees. His name was Hector Made. He was from the Dominican Republic, and George Steinbrenner, who was the owner of the Yankees and one of the most intimidating guys, ever, was actually coming to watch our game. And I went up to Hector before the game and I said, "Hector, are you nervous? George Steinbrenner is going to watch us play." And he looked at me, literally just started laughing like, "Ha ha ha ha. George Steinbrenner's not God." And I was like, oh my God, like there's a whole, no, I'm serious. Like Brendan, like there's a whole domain of mind that I have about this guy's important. He's watching me, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't have that. It's not there for him. He's still a child playing a game. And there's a freedom in that. They play with joy, pure joy. And I remember looking at that and be like, I lost that when I was 5. When I was 5, I had that. I had that joy, but then I realized, oh, I'm good. I got to make it to the major leagues. People are watching me, all this crap. And it's like, I lost that. I lost the joy, and to be honest with you, I've never, ever, ever, like right now, I feel happy on this podcast with you guys. I'm loving it. I'm in a state of joy right now. And guess what? I'm confident. I've never, ever been in a state of joy and not been confident. Ever.
Yeah, because what's there to be unconfident about, I guess, in that state?
Right.
Yeah, and as we're all talking, I'm also wondering, maybe even backing up a little bit, like what actually is confidence? Because everybody's like, oh, there's confidence. I'm either not confident or I want confidence. But what actually is confidence? Not like there's how we get confidence. It seems where, yes, so like in my mind, what is it? It seems like it's a trust in one's own abilities. Like if I'm unconfident, I'm like, I'm not sure if I can do this, so I'm not confident. But I get confident only after I've done the thing. So then it seems like training is a must. I must put myself through my paces because, like, have I done this thing before? No. So do I know if I can do it or not? Well, no, I don't know if I can do it. But if I've done that thing or been through really hard times, then I can go, I'm confident. And then another addition I had from like my understanding and training and fighting and stuff like that, like when stuff is moving too fast for the mind, I have to be able to control my mind to be in a state that works for that. And from our perspective here, controlling the mind is more to do with what I don't do with my mind than what I do. And maybe confidence is the same way, rather than it's like something extra that I do. Maybe it's more about what I don't do. Like, okay, fear? No, not going to be afraid. Worried about other fucking people, what they think of me? Nope, not going to do that. I'm just going to do my job. And my mind wants to go all these other places, and so maybe it's more about saying no and or keeping my mind in a place that works and is non-intellectual. I mean, especially for professional sports and fighting stuff, like intellect just sucks. Like, oh, what do they think about me? Oh, I wonder if I'm looking good for the ladies or any of that stuff. It just, all of that's off the table.
You're not focused if you're doing that.
Right. Yeah. And performance in that domain definitely suffers for sure. And maybe people don't even know they can change their states of mind. Like I've done shit in boxing where it's like, if I'm thinking this way, I'll shift so that I'm in a different way with reality. I know that sounds foo-foo and fucking weird, but it's like changing my mindset so that what I perceive is actually different than what I would normally. Or like I remember grappling with a guy, like doing some Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and then seeing him like he's just chatting, but when it's go time, he switches modes in his brain, and it's like, okay, kill mode is on, different thing. Oh, he's not worried about social shit. He's just gonna destroy, and I could see the switch. And maybe people don't know they can switch their mind around. I mean, I know it. I know you guys know it because of your vocation, your job.
Yeah.
Because you've had to do it. Like when it's go time in a game, you're not chatty like this the same way, I'm sure.
So there's definitely a switch you have to flip. In everything. I mean, and I think that's part of what I think me and Adam, we used to call it getting locked in. I mean, you have to flip a switch at a certain point. You know, I think it's a mixture of all of those things. The preparation, the focus. I mean, when you were talking, you made me think of the movie Bull Durham, where Kevin Costner's like, "Get the broad out of your head." You know, you got to focus, but you also have to be prepared. I think it's a mixture of all those things. But with what Adam was saying about the Latin players, and they just had all this joy. You gotta love it, right? You gotta love what you're doing.
Hey, Ray, I'm curious. What do you think confidence is?
Yeah.
Like, how is that created? I mean, I know there's the preparation, but like, what is that experience? When we say confident, what are we talking about?
Confidence is the thing that most people lack. Okay.
Yep, this seems to be the case.
Yeah, because if you really believe in you, you can do anything if you try hard enough. And a lot of people don't always believe in themselves, so they can't get to that next level. And it's something that I lived through and went through within the scope of me. When I got released from baseball, I deserved to be released.
Yeah.
You understand?
Why do you think people are not confident or don't believe in themselves? What do you think are some of the causes of that?
People are sometimes afraid of success. They're afraid of the fact that they think that they can't. Okay, and it's not about that you can't, is that you can. God has given us all this special spiritual power to be able to anything that we want if we try hard enough. And I really believe that. And it's that we don't take it there. We don't go there. We're afraid to go to that level. Or we have to deal with the aspect of what is Mickey Mouse going to think about me, and what is that one going to do if I can't, and all of this negativity.
And why do we do that? Why the addiction to that? Because like a quick example and a quick aside here. Like I'm building a house for myself. I decided I haven't had a house. I want to make one. So I'm making one. And sometimes I have these feelings where I'm about to go do something and I'm in my mind, I have this feeling of like, I don't know if I can do that. And I'm like, Brendan, this is bullshit because everything you've put your mind to thus far, you've done. So can you put up one board? Yes, I can. Can you do the next step for that process? Yes, you can. So I'm like, what the fuck am I bitching about in my own mind? It just seems silly. And so, I think I just got lost, but yeah, why do people, so like why the addiction to this negativity or this I don't believe I can? Because it seems to come up again and again, and when I catch myself, I'm like, I throw the thought out of my mind. I'm like, that's just stupid. Okay, I'm done with that. But why did I even start? Why do many people have this problem? Why?
That's a question that's been asked for thousands of years.
Well, let's answer it then.
We got to answer this thing.
It's just, what, we got to take it one day at a time, and we got to take it within the scope of who I am and why can't I? Okay.
Yeah, like who said you can't? Like that idea didn't, like kids don't have that. You can't. Do you remember being a kid?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to take a shit in my pants. And I don't care. Like, all right. Felt
great. I got to say, like, I have a 2-year-old, right? And I was at the park with him and he was taking a basketball and he was trying to throw the basketball up to the 10-foot hoop to make a basket, and he's got no fucking chance to do it. None. But he kept doing it. And he was having the time of his life. He wasn't thinking, oh, I'm failing. Oh, I'm doing this or whatever. He was just doing it. And
that's what it is. It's fear of failure. I mean, that's why I think it's great that every kid play Little League because, they talk about this all the time. You get 3 hits out of 10, you're an all-star, but where else in life can you fail 7 out of 10 times and be an all-star? And so, I know we're talking a lot about baseball and confidence here, but if you can get comfortable with failing that much, then it's going to help you in everything else in life.
Stephen, you said one thing wrong. The only thing wrong, you said baseball. No, you're talking about life in general, life
No,
in general. Everything that you said was dead on, with the exception of baseball, because it's all about life. This is, everything that you said, we can equate to life. And if you want to be an accountant, if you want to be a plumber, and I can't because my friend Jethro is a better plumber than me, so I can't get that job here, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But you're dead on in what you're saying.
no, I think it helped me throughout the other parts of my life, and even being able to move on from baseball is dealing with failure. And I got 2 girls before I had my son, but I wanted them to play softball, because you play soccer, you have all the other basketball, the other sports, but something about baseball, softball, that failure, learning to deal with it just helps you. It helps you in your preparation to be confident and not being afraid to fail later in life. And even if you do, being able to get back up.
That's all fine and dandy, but the biggest culprit, it's that silent killer in our world known as jealousy. And the aspect of jealous people around us sometimes keep us from going to that next level also. Is like, I'll never forget, George Steinbrenner used to say to me, the biggest problem that you will have in your life is that people are going to be jealous of you. And I used to say, jealous of me, but I don't have anything. And he used to say, you don't have to have anything, but you can have a good friend, or you could have a good dream, and those culprits will try to bring it down.
Yeah, and in addition to that, as you were talking, I think another aspect might be, if my experience of myself, if I hold that to be determined by others or something outside of me, then I will always be at the mercy of what is outside of me. So like if somebody else's feelings of jealousy are something that I feel like determine how I need to show up, then I will always be reactive to that, and then it will, in this case, keep me down or keep me stuck in a certain way of thinking, and I won't be able to author my own experience because I'm totally addicted to what other people experience.
Right.
In a way.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I like the jealousy, the part that Ray mentioned. That was strong. I agree with that.
What are some things that people can do to take, because I think everybody wants to have an empowered experience of life, and I think a lot of our suffering comes from not feeling that way. Like, we can't do anything, we feel disempowered, and I think confidence has a lot to do with capability. So I'd like to ask you guys, like, what do you think, given our discussion on what confidence is, that people can do to really develop this thing called confidence? Anybody
First
got
thing
anything?
that came to mind for me, I mean, definitely lots of training, lots of hard work, and willingness to confront discomfort and willingness to confront failure. So like willingness, and then responsibility, like being confronting how responsible I am. Am I going to do it, or am I thinking somebody else is going to do it for me? Those are a few things that came up for me right away.
Ray, you got anything there?
I just, you know what? It's about taking a deep breath and appreciating life in general. Life is such a privilege and it's so short. I mean, we wake up every day, guys, and Patrick Swayze died. This one died. That guy died. I mean, it's just, and you say to yourself, wow, it was just yesterday that he was just making this movie or playing this game and doing this. You know, life is so short that we should only be caught up into the aspect of the beauty of life. And if we leave our attention and focus on that, why there's nothing that we can't do, you know, because we want to appreciate it.
You know, I want to ask one more question before we wrap up, if you don't mind. And Ray, this is going to come close to your heart, but I just want to finish by talking about kids and little kids playing sports. And I've seen a lot of, I had it too when I was 8 years old, getting screamed at by adults and, getting a lot of pressure put on me. And I think kids is a different story because you're not mentally mature enough, I think, in some ways to handle that. But there are a lot of parents in this world that I think fuck up sports for their kids by trying to impose a bunch of goals and we got to do this, we got to do that. But like, what do you guys think about little kids sports and empowering kids to enjoy what they're doing such that they develop properly, frankly?
As a parent, as a parent, you have to take all the negativity that you have lived through and everything that you have lived through and try to, in essence, enhance that with your own children. And you know, your children are a reflection of what you have lived. And to be able to see my kids, two of my kids are cops here in New York, okay, and they're celebrated cops who have done the right thing. So I hope that that's been a little bit of a reflection of what they learned from me, but also the fact that God gave them good hearts to be able to do the right thing. So that's part of the empowerment of what we have lived through. And I see that you are becoming an incredible dad, Adam, and I love that. And again, that's a part of what you have lived.
Yeah. I mean, Brendan, I mean, I know you're not a father, but when it comes to like letting little kids and playing sports, like what do you think is something empowering? Like if you were going to coach some, 7, 8 year olds in martial arts or something like that, what's an environment you think we want to create for for those kids, whether in playing sports or doing martial arts so they can kind of develop well. What do you think is a good atmosphere there?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that came to mind is just letting kids play. Like when I was a kid, I just wanted to play, to move around, and I've heard stories like Peter talked about learning. His parent, he went to go learn tennis, but the guy was like training him up to be a pro, but he was a kid.
Right.
He's like, just let me hit a fucking ball. They never
Right.
let him hit a ball. It was just swinging the racket. So, I mean, I think play is really good, and then maybe designing ways of playing that actually teach functional skills.
Hmm.
So, in whatever domain, so that the fun and the learning can happen in the same environment.
Yeah, I think that's well said. Well, this has been pretty amazing. I've had a lot of fun. I mean, Brendan, thank you. Ray, thank you. Stephen, despite your technical troubles, thank you for joining us and contributing. And yeah, guys, really appreciate it. And we'll talk soon. I'm gonna end it there.